Okay, this is the topic, right? Data engineering that I already mentioned. So the outline will be talking about these three parts. It's not going to be too long for this kind of concepts to discuss. And then as I mentioned, we can continue with the lab. So I talk about the data science and data analytics process overview. I continue talking about the second topic on data engineering, kind of an overview as well, and then a practice part that we will do in the lab. Okay, the data science and data analytics process. There are quite a number of process, model, life cycle proposed in terms of data science and data analytics. So I will bring some of the interesting models to discuss and to give you what kind of flows, process flow, and activities that we usually conduct when we are working on data science and data analytics projects. I think you might have learned this in some other course, but since we are in the data modeling and management, and also many of you are in the data science curriculum, right? So we need to be sure that we know about this and we know what are we at the moment. Okay, we're doing this activity, this task, this step as part of what in the analytics process. Okay, so this first model is called CRISP-DM. It stands for cross-industry standard process for data mining. That's why its acronym is CRISP-DM. Okay, it is a process model consisting of 6 phases or 6 main activities that describe the life cycle of data science projects. So to start with, okay, the very first phase or activity would be business understanding. You're not jumping to do anything unless you know the problem and the goal of what you want to do. So it needs to start from business understanding, then data understanding, then data preparation, then do the modeling, evaluation of the model, and then deployment. And all of this, you have data at the center. So every of the process more or less need to involve data. So still data is kind of the focus, important input, important store that you need to have. So the very first one, business understanding phase. It involves understanding, determining business objective. Actually, not the entire business. It could be just certain problem that you focus or want to solve. Assess the situation, determining the goals of why do you want to use either data mining, either any kind of data science, data analytics tool or algorithm, machine learning, anything. Okay. What would be the goal that you apply those things to solve your business problem? And then make the plan. The next phase, after you do the business understanding, is when you, of course, try to move to the data part. First, you understand the whole situation as a background, as a problem, as the motivation, and so on. Next, you move to the data focus. What data you need to collect? What are they about? What kind of data you have? So you do the collection, describing, exploring, and verifying the quality. We are not doing anything if you don't have good data. If you start with very bad data, just forget it. You waste your time because dirty data or not good quality data cannot yield any good results for you for any decision or anything. And then the third process is to do the preparation. data preparation, meaning that you may need to select certain subsets of the data. You may have collected kind of very huge, right? But you may not need them all. You need only certain parts. You may need to do the cleansing. Some of the data may not be perfect, right? Wrong data, missing values, and so on. These are the cleansing parts. Okay, we may need to construct, integrate, or even format the data. So all these are part of the preparation in the CRISP DM. Then after you cleanse, you prepare, kind of transform and do all these necessary steps to your data, you can move to the next phase of modeling. Modeling means perhaps apply machine learning techniques, apply any analytics techniques to analyze the data. Not only in machine learning, right? I just use this term for giving example. Doing data science, data mining doesn't mean only machine learning, okay? But machine learning could be kind of hot area, so on, but they are not the only things. Okay, so in this phase, you need to choose proper technique that you want to use to your data. You need to generate maybe some kind of experiment design, test design, and so on. You move to the model building and then make the assessment how good your model is. Okay. Then evaluation. After you construct the model, if assess the model, all the measures, right? The metrics and measures, you evaluate the results of your model, how good it is to solve your original business problem. Don't just be the like machine learning engineer, right? Oh, we need the, but how good it is to solve that. The goal is your business problem being solved. Okay. Still make sure that you relate to the original goal, whatever result you obtain. Make the review determining whether what to do, which means if the model should not be good enough, throw it away, improve it, rebuild it, or what? Or if the model is good enough, what does it mean? Deploy it, use it as part of the business solution, supporting decision or what, right? And this is the next step. If the model is good enough, right? Deploy it. Plan the deployment. How do you deploy it? You need to perhaps build an application that make use of your model or what, right? Plan it. And even not only planning the way to deploy, plan the way it has been, it's going to be used, it's going to be maintained to make the model sustained and usable for certain period of time. Okay, produce the report, review. This is just to finish the project and so on. So these are all the 6 steps in this CRISP DM process model. And you can see that it's some kind of iterative somehow, that once you deploy, you may get it into the same cycle for understanding extra, additional requirements or business needs. So the same model that has already been built and deployed may be used to improve and expand. Okay. And here, this is the junction where when we evaluate, we may find out that something is not up to satisfactory level. You may need to go back to the business understanding, getting more of the data, train more data, clean more data, or whatever, right? Because it could mean that your model has too small data or has used some wrong data, or you may need to transform or prepare your data better. Okay. Okay, so this is about Christian. Another model, this is kind of similar, right? But just slightly different. This is called Business Analytics Process Model and proposed by SAS. Okay, SAS is also another company for a large data analytics tool. Okay, it starts from identifying business problem, but every model starts from understanding the problem, the needs, why you are doing it, what problem you're solving. No process jump to the data directly. You need to identify what you want to do for your business to make use of data analytics and data science and data mining or whatever, right? Identify business problem, identify data sources that you would need and you would be able to collect, select the data portion that could be used, clean, transform. This is the same as preparing as well, right? In the previous model. And then build the model by analyzing. So analyzing the data include model building, making certain statistics things and so on. Then interpret, evaluate, and deploy. So making use of the model. So these are kind of similar, but just grouping and ungrouping in different ways, right? So these the first 5 steps, they are okay. The first 5 steps are considered to be part of pre-processing. Only these steps, right? Number 6, which is the analyzing step. And after that, post-processing means making use, deploying, and so on. Okay, another model or workflow. This one is from DataCamp. It's called data workflow or data analytics workflow. It starts from data collection and storage. Actually, they skip the business understanding, right? But actually, it assumes that there must be a pre-step of understanding business needs, business problems. Okay. And after you're understanding the business problems, you can start with collection, then preparation, then exploration and visualization, actually to understand the data in deeper detail. And then making or building the model. Sometimes you may not know what model, what technique to use until you explore your data in depth. To know more, to do some exploration, navigating through your data, trying some visualization to see some possible trend, pattern, grouping or something. And then you can direct to possible techniques, potential techniques. Okay. And here comes to the next process or model, which is called TDSP, acronym for the Team Data Science Process. From the word team, okay, actually, if data science process is kind of easy to understand, right? But with the word team, it means that actually nowadays, data science process, data science project is not for one single person. It's actually for the whole team or a big team, small team, whatever, right? To work together. And this one is proposed and developed by Microsoft. Okay. And it is an agile. It is iterative methodology to deliver predictive analytics solution and intelligent applications. And the development of model itself is a combination of Scrum method, Scrum in the Agile method, right? And CRISP DM, the very first model we discussed. So we can quickly look into this picture together. There's a clear starting point, okay? We start here, we move to the next phase of business understanding, which is a must, right? And then we move here, okay? Follow my step here first, because there are some kind of iterative, which somehow could confuse us where to flow. Okay, the very first step is to start from business understanding, then continuing to data acquisition and understanding. You need to get data and understand your data that you have. You may find that perhaps there are some data you should have that you don't have as well. So understand the data and you will see maybe there are some data missing that you must acquire for. Okay, then from this you go to this, making a model. But inside the acquisition, sorry, there are sub-processes, which is identifying the data source, right? In which your data source could be on premises, on cloud, or local files. Actually, data source for data analytics could be of any possible of any variety source. Okay. Also, maybe there is a pipeline of the data, okay, in which the data flow from the pipeline through the to your process system. What is the environment you have for your data? So this is all about data infrastructure and understanding the data and infrastructure of the data. You may need to perform what is called wrangling, exploration, and cleaning. Okay. And after you are after you are, okay, we start from here. After you finish with your data acquisition and understanding and conversion, cleansing, and so on, we can move to the next step of modeling. You can model your data. Before you model the data with any particular model techniques and algorithms, of course, it may require you to do data transformation as part of the feature engineering, because existing feature may not work well to predict anything, right? Or to may not work well in your predictive model, in your clustering model, classification model, whatever model you want to use. So you may need to do feature engineering and then train the model and then evaluate the model and so on. After that, if it is fine, you move to the deployment. But if not, if from the evaluation you find that your model is not good enough, something is still not okay, you have the branches to either, maybe you need to understand the problem better, right? Maybe you don't understand well what to do, what to get, what to achieve. Maybe your data is not good enough, you get more. Do more of the data part. And then back to the modeling again. Okay. Until you are happy with your model result, then you can do the deployment. But before you can do the deployment to the customer, right? Actually, with Agile process, you cannot just simply deploy and let users use, right? You need this part. This strongly needed customer acceptance, right? You cannot deploy anything in the software world, in the IT world nowadays. You need to make sure you get accepted. I mean, whatever you want to develop and produce and let the user use, you verify with the user. Are they happy? Is everything according to what they need? And so on. If the customer accepts, of course, it's the finish of your current version that you deploy and so on, right? And as part of the deployment, actually, there are kind of several metrics and several things to do. Whether you deploy the model itself, you deploy and make the model store the model. There is also the model base nowadays. It's not only database. We talk about if in IT we have database, we have knowledge base. We have now a lot of models you build, right? A data analytics model. So there are also model-based kind of database to store, archive, a collection of models for different purposes and so on. Okay. You build smart and intelligent applications for your purpose as part of the deployment. Okay. So this is the TDSP, Team Data Science Process. I already explained all this, okay? This is just additional explanation on each of the parts of it, okay? So I skip, but in terms of more details, please read, okay? Okay, then we go to the next topic. Now I'm done with this overview on data science and data analytics process. Overview. So we understand that the entire process involves these activities and tasks of it. Then we move to the next topic, in which is the focus of this particular topic we're learning, and then we do some practice, which is called data engineering. So what does it mean by data engineering? And actually, if we talk about data engineering as a process, we have also people, career, who work in this job role, right? We call them data engineer. What do they do, or who are they? Data engineers are responsible for delivering, making sure that we have accurate, correct data in the form or technology that users, mean people, right? People means user, can use them as efficiently as possible. So data engineer are those people who kind of prepare, provide, make sure that the organization has good data infrastructure for what? For users. And there are many types of users, whether the user could be developer need to access database for some application development, right? They may need data in certain form, so store in certain technology. There may be data scientist, machine learning engineer who may want to use data to build models. They are also users of the data, and data engineer need to also make available the data for machine learning engineer, data scientist, or maybe the business intelligence developer, specialist. They want data in the form that they can use to build a dashboard to provide some kind of visualization for the decision maker, management of the organization, and so on. So these are also the users. Okay, so data engineers is very important, has very important role to make sure we have quality data, timely data, and data in the right form to provide to any users in the organization. Okay, so they are responsible for some of these process too, such as making sure that building and maintaining data pipeline systems in enterprise systems. We kind of avoid what is called data silo. Data silo means you have this database, you have another database, and you have another and another. And they all are not integrated, they all are not linked, they all are not well connected, and maybe they are redundant, they are so different, and so on. So data silo are something that we should avoid in today's enterprise architecture. And we want more or less data integration and data pipeline. Okay. So this is also the task of data engineering, to make sure that we have infrastructure and pipeline system. Also, the quality of the data that the organization has is to be maintained by data engineer. But of course, not manually doing this, right? The data engineer may need to build some system infrastructure to make sure we have usable data, meaning that they may need to clean, to transform, or to wrangle the data into proper format and result. And again, to do that for what? For people to use the data efficiently. Okay. Okay. And that means, of course, it may include or involve the process of extract, transform, load, extract, load, transform, and so on of the data. So by trying to understand the tasks and the roles that data engineers are responsible for, if we use this simple diagram of data analytics process, which steps do you think are part of the task of data engineer? Any answer? Transform? Transform, where is it? Here. Okay. Thank you, Pochanan. Right? Is it from Pochanan? From identify data sources to transform. Clean and transform. So, okay, I got this answer. Sorry. I got somehow somebody, what happened? Okay. I got some answer about transforming, cleansing, And actually, even somebody say that everything from identifying through transforming. Okay, what is your answer? In class, any answer? There are 7 steps, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which steps are part of data engineering process? What do you think? Again, no eye contact, right? Because otherwise I would ask you to answer. This is very usual. I was student before, I understand, of course. Okay, actually, it's everything from even the first step. Because if you cannot understand and identify this as problem, you will not know which data sources, which data subset, which part of the data you should make available for your company, right? Then data engineer cannot just focus on the technical part. Data engineer also need to understand business problems. So they understand what are the goal of the business. And of course, what data could help the business to achieve the goal, right? Now we are in the data-driven and data economy, data-driven decision. So data engineers need to understand business goal decisions and know that which types of data would ensure business achievement, goal achievement properly. So we cannot just focus only on technical issue, but even start from the very first. But anyway, when we deal with the data, of course, data comes from these first 2 steps. Once you understand the business, then you can identify what sources of data you need. How do you construct data infrastructure to store all the needed data to support the business? You need to select the data. This is part of data set construction. Okay. And of course, these 2 parts, they are the processing part and post-processing. So data engineers are not doing this thing, but preparing the infrastructure and everything. Okay. But this is for a big organization or a team that you can have different roles, right? But for some team, like do everything role is also meaning that you don't separate data engineer, data scientist, and so on, right? A person may do both roles of starting from engineering and data science process. Okay, so to construct the data set, we need to focus on this. Then when we talk about the data set, I think many of you learn also machine learning course or computer programming course if you are in the data science and AI program, right? You know that you need data sets because you want to build a model. So the importance of the data set, one of the characteristics is how big your data set should be. I always say to my students as well, who are working on some of the data science projects, if you don't have enough data set, sometimes you, of course, not sometimes, it's very important to start with making sure you have data and then ask further once the student said, hey, I have data. Second, I will ask how big is your data? Third, how good is your data as well, right? So these are very important properties of doing something meaningful and yielding good results. Otherwise, you cannot Yeah, I should perhaps use it easier. When you do model evaluation before deployment, you cannot even deploy if actually the result is not good enough. Because if you're deploying something such as predicting something, right? For example, we may think about a very classic example in a banking loan, whether to give loan or not. You may use a model to predict whether the person who wants to make a loan is going to repay the loan or not, right? You want to give loan only to those who are capable of repaying. There are a lot of models nowadays working on this prediction, right? And if your prediction model is not good, then the bank is not going to use your model for sure, right? In real business setting. So evaluation is the key to identify whether you're gonna deploy your model for real business usage or not. It's not just kind of project exercise in class, right? In real business, if the model do not achieve something, benchmark, threshold, you're not gonna deploy it for sure, okay? So in exercise, project, in class, fine, you build model with 60%, 70%, okay. You may get some score, some marks and so on, but in real business, you even need to rebuild your whole model once again if you cannot really achieve expected measure. Okay. All right. So it starts from having good data. Having the data. After you have the data, first make sure that proper size is there. I give you some idea. Of course, people may ask, how much data do we need? How big it is? My answer depends on what you are going to do. For example, if you are talking about flower, maybe identifying flower from photo image analysis, right? Take a photo and ask whether what type of flower is this one, what type of animal is this picture, in this picture, and so on. Then maybe the size of data may not need to be very big nowadays. Algorithms is very good. But some other types of data may have bigger and bigger and bigger depending on what you want to do. For example, you can look at here. Translation. You are talking about human natural language translation. It's even big, right? And so on. And one important correct thing that I need to emphasize is quality of data, garbage in and garbage out. As I said, if you don't have good enough quality, your model is nothing. Yeah. Okay, so if we cannot ensure good quality data, no need to move next, because we don't really know about the results that the model predicts, right? If the data is not totally, but somehow contain a lot of wrong data. Suppose we want to predict. Okay, let's do kind of study result prediction based on student profile, such as nationality, date of birth, gender, previous degree performance, degree, a program degree you graduated before, and work experience and age and so on, right? Suppose we use this to predict the outcome GPA in your postgrad or master study. But if these data somehow contain a lot of mistakes, how come that you're gonna be using this model to predict for any current student for their results, right? If at least the GPA data of the training data is wrong, the age is wrong, previous degree is wrong, nothing can be used at all. Okay. So what do you think could be criteria or characteristics of quality data? Can you share your idea? List for me, please. One. I think this is easy, right? What is supposed to be good quality? Yes, that means it must be correct. Thank you. Second. No missing value. Complete. Okay, thank you. What else? There are more. Reliable. Okay. Anything else? What other dimensions? When you say that this data has good quality, what are you looking for? Oh, I have other sharing, correct and clean, structure, up to date. What else? Accurate. Thank you. Accurate and correct is the same. Up to date. Pardon? On. Not biased. Yes, thank you. And also thank you for the up to date, right? That means timeliness. Structure. Okay, structure is good to have, but it's not, it doesn't make data of low quality if it's not, I mean, structure in the sense like semi-structured, structured data or unstructured data. They are fine. Okay. Any more sharing? Any idea? Additional? I still have one more thing. Relevant. Yes. You can have huge data, but if it is not relevant, for example, I want to predict GPA, right? Study result. But if I have data about your biometrics, DNA, or maybe DNA, you think about brain and so on, but like eye color, maybe that links to nationality, but weight and height, something that perhaps seem not to be relevant. It may not be the thing to indicate or to have predictive power to the data, right? So if it is not relevant, so it should not be good quality as well. Okay, so these are basic quality dimensions. Okay, completeness, accuracy, reliability, relevance, timeliness. Okay, then once you have all the data available, enough size, good quality, you can move on to the next step of cleansing and transforming. In which, what does it mean? The data you have so far may not start with kind of perfect data for sure. There will be something wrong with the data in which you may need this process of data cleansing or data cleaning. So what you are doing in the cleansing process is identify if there are any incorrectness of the data, identify some irrelevant data, perhaps you need to remove those irrelevant, right? If there are some kind of incompleteness of the data, then you may need to handle them too. And these things, these types of data are considered as dirty. The data is dirty. So that is why you need to clean that. Okay, so the process would involve correcting the error, validating that there is no more error, and even enhance the data. And in further detail, it means we may need to remove data that we don't want, remove duplicate data. You may have data that are redundant, irrelevant. If there are mistaken or erroneous, you correct them. If there are outliers, you remove them or filter them out too, right? And if there are missing data, inconsistent data, you need to resolve them too. And there are kind of multiple techniques to handle this inconsistency and missing data, such as either to remove, that's easy, right? Dropping, don't want anymore. But that implies that you need to have enough data at the first place. Your data size is big enough that you keep removing everything out, then it means you don't have anything remaining for the model building, right? But if not, then maybe imputing a value for the missing data or for the inconsistency data. Imputing means maybe you have some default value to represent the missing, to represent the inconsistency, or to find an average, a mean value, median value, and replace the missing data with the median and mean, something like that. There are several techniques what to do, depending also on your data characteristics and nature, which technique would be the best. Okay, then that is the cleansing process. The transforming process is to convert data that is already cleansed, good quality in terms of correctness, but may not be in the format that you can use for analysis, use for model building. Then you convert from one format to another. And you may not in terms of format, like in Microsoft Word to PDF or something like that. There is not a data format in that way, right? But format of the data could be things like sometimes they are such as date of birth, you convert into age. This is also transforming. Okay, so it would involve, it depends on some of the process. Some of the data process identify, the process model, identify data cleansing as part of the transformation because you make changes to the data. So some data science process have only data transformation. Some split into cleansing and transformation. But when it is just the transformation, it means embed the cleansing process already. Okay, so it may include cleansing. It may include standardizing the data, such as normalizing your data as well. It may include remove redundant, verifying the data, sorting the data so that you can, some analysis technique require data to be organized, sorted, grouped, and so on. And it may require some other additional process, such as this, okay? Either labeling, merging data from multiple sources, splitting data from one attribute, one variable into two or more, merging multiple variables into single, also possible. Splitting could be something like, suppose you have address include everything, right? But perhaps it makes more sense to use just the country or the city because it really can be kind of profiling or the way to segment your data better. Okay, then these are all about engineering process that we want to talk about. And as part of the last lab, okay, we will do some small practice. Data engineering itself could be one big full course. So we are talking just an overview of this process in one lecture and one big lab, okay? But actually the whole detail requires a study of a full course too, okay? So I cannot capture and cover everything that is necessary. Thank you. Relevance and integrity. Okay. So in terms of the practice, I think Swaroop will lead. I mean, we'll continue with the lab part, but I can talk about it a little bit. So in the practical part, we will focus on movie rating prediction. Suppose you are a movie producer, right? You want to produce new movies, but in order to produce it, before you do it, you want to predict how successful your movie will be, something like that. Okay. And okay, I will not talk about this. So the data set we will use, of course, would involve data set in terms of movies, user profile, and user rating. Actually, what I'm trying to explain here actually is following some kind of data. Okay, I would say that we are following some brief process of data analytics. First, what is it? First step. Business understanding, right? You are doing any project, anything, you need to understand the goal and why we are doing it. So this slide just quickly explain these business needs. That is, suppose we are in the movie industry, then the movie rating actually is an important element to design the quality, right? It is based on user review, giving rating scale of 5 for excellence, 4, 3, 2, and 1, something like this. This is kind of the usual easy way to make or to judge movie quality. And of course, most of the people, when you make a decision, either you watch through Netflix, right? You may look at the rating score in order to determine whether you want to watch that movie or not, okay? And what we want to do is that we want to predict the movie rating of a movie we want to produce and release. So if we are, as I said, if I am the production company, I want to release a movie. So I may want to predict my movie that which rating my movie would get based on the predicting model that we need to build. Okay. So this is the needs, the business needs you must understand clearly. And of course, you may need to pre-identify that in order to do the prediction, maybe history values of movie features, such as genre, such as release date, time, year, such as director or this and that, right? Could be the input variables for predicting. Also, the profiles of the user who like or may not like the movie, right? Different user may be preferred by different types of user, such as age group, gender group, and so on. Okay, so these are the business identification part, business understanding, business needs, and so on. And then, of course, move to the next step, right? We need to now identify data that we need, in which we quickly identify certain data here already, right? This is the data we think we need. Then we find out and collect the data, whether we have all those data available in some data collection store, or the company may have them inside the company database or not. So the data source of data, remember, it could be from local database of the company, of the organization. It could be from cloud storage. I mean, local database could mean on-premise. Cloud could be open data somewhere on the web, right, that is made available for public. Even could be kind of this is database, right? Even file, local files. So these are possible data you may need to access or retrieve as data sources. Okay, so that is how these data sets are identified from these use case or this example. So we have a gender, occupation, movie category for user input. Okay, and we want to predict the user rating. And okay, so the process of the lab that you'll be working with will have this kind of, assume we have these 3 types of data sources: movie database, user profiles, and the ratings. You may need to, in terms of data engineering process, right? Of course, the input source may be loaded, extracted, transformed, and loaded into your local system. Okay. And then you have made a produce an output of integrated data, cleanse data, transform data, and so on. And that means you will make these outputs ready for the next step. We are not doing the model building. We are doing just data engineering part, right? We are in the data engineering process, meaning that we extract, transform, load data from data sources. We do transformation, cleansing, and every other necessity step to prepare the data to be available for the model building. And we stop there. Okay. And of course, data results could be used for prediction, building predictive model, for visualizing, and so on. Okay, I think this is entire map of what we are going to do, and we better look into this together with when we start the lab. And I will hand this next to Swaroop for the lab part, but before, there are 2 things. First, questions. Second, a break. So, any question?